Okay, all right. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today for this webinar, utilizing CDBG for nonprofits energy savings with Pinellas County, Florida, and I will introduce our speaker in just a moment. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura DiMaria, and I am NACED's Executive Director. We're very happy to have you with us here today. And of course, I want to wish everybody a very happy Community Development Week. So each year, CD Week is a time to celebrate the impact and successes of the Community Development Block Grant Program across the country. So if you haven't yet, this is the perfect week to get involved and tell the story of your CDBG program and how it works in your community. So you can meet with members of Congress, you can showcase projects and programs, and involve the local community, including businesses, citizens, community groups, in this week-long celebration. Ribbon cuttings, press releases, proclamations are all good things to do during this week every year. And then also, because I know we do have a couple of new people to NACED on the call today. So if you're new to us, we are the National Association for County, Community, and Economic Development, and we represent local government's affordable housing and community development programs. The benefits of being a part of NACED as a member and joining are numerous, including discounts on our trainings and events, access to a national network of community development professionals handling the same projects and challenges that you are in the CDBG and home and related programs, and of course, direct access to our partners here in Washington, DC, including especially HUD and the career staff at headquarters. So we'd be glad to have you join as a member and can provide more information. And also I'll just share, by the way, first-time members do get half off their first year for counties. So you are welcome to join us, and we hope that you will. So now for the main event for today's program, please note we are recording so that you may share this event with colleagues who were unable to attend. And if you have any questions at any time, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will also have time for Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce NACED board member Joe Riddle, who will be leading today's webinar. And Joe is the Grants Program Manager at Pinellas County, Florida, and today we'll be discussing how Pinellas used CDBG funds to help local nonprofits save on their energy costs. So Joe, over to you.
Good morning. Good morning to my Western friends, and good afternoon to our Eastern colleagues this afternoon. Let me get my share here and get a screen up for you. Are we there yet? Which screen are we seeing, Laura?
It looks perfect.
Looks perfect. Very good. All right. Wanted to, as part of CD Week, share a couple of projects that Pinellas County has come up with to do some energy saving costs for our nonprofits. First of all, let me talk a little bit about Pinellas County. Pinellas County's population is just a little less than 960,000 folks. We're the westernmost county just due west of Tampa. Again, we are a peninsula of a peninsula, which makes it even more interesting during the hurricane season. We're one of the most densely populated counties in Florida. We're 90% built out. We don't have much more land to be able to build and move forward. Pinellas County is made up of 24 cities and towns. 4 of those cities and towns are entitlement communities through HUD funding. The county, the city of Clearwater, the city of Largo, and the city of St. Petersburg. So their communities. Our primary focus with our programs and HUD funding is the unincorporated counties. We do partner with our other cities and counties when they're putting their entitlement funding in as well. And one other interesting fact, Clearwater Beach is annually rated as one of the top 10 beaches in the United States for tourists. So have an opportunity to come down and visit one of the top 10 beaches in the country. As I said, we are a HUD entitlement community. We're designated as an urban county by HUD. Our CDBG entitlement is approximately just a little over $2.5 million. We are the lead agency with the home consortium here with the city of Largo. And we also receive emergency solution grants funding for our homeless. As I came to the county 4 years ago, we were finishing up a project with a nonprofit agency to put a solar panel on the roof of their project. And as they were talking, they were saying, we're going to be able to show about a 30% savings in our electrical cost once we get our solar panel on. So I began to think, and we look at our entitlement numbers here, that with the 15% cap for public services funding through the CDBG program, that's going to provide us about $350,000 worth of funding to go to applications. And we do about $1.5 million worth of public facility applications to our nonprofits here in the county. Well, as we all in this business know, we never have enough money. And when we look at our public services number there, we've got $350,000 that we're going to be able to fund, but we received 14 applications this year for $1.5 million worth of funding. So as I began to think about the process of being able to provide operational funds for some of these agencies, it came to mind based on my solar panel project there was, hey, we can spend our public service dollars, which we have public facilities dollars, which we have more of, and we can provide them operational funds with the savings that they've got. So we came up with, I began pushing to our nonprofits, let's do solar panels and we can save you energy costs, which you can then in turn put those funds into operational. So the couple projects I want to highlight here, one is the Arc of Tampa Bay. This is a nonprofit in Pinellas County that provides services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout our county. They operate 20 different program sites to include adult day training centers plus 12 residential group homes. This project here, the Parker Springs Adult Training Facility, serves about 30 folks daily with training, skills, and recreational activities for their clientele. We provided $95,500 of CDBG public facility funding to replace the roof as well as put on the solar panels. Replacing the roof, it was an old dilapidated roof, so we did go ahead and do there. We're going to get energy savings from that piece of it, plus the addition of the solar panels. The main goal of this project was, again, to reduce those utility costs and then be able to put a mechanism in place to be able to report back to their board on an annual basis of this is what we've been able to achieve by receiving this funding. The second facility at the Arc of Tampa Bay was their Harborside Adult Day facility. This is a art studio that they provide services to about 25 students and adults on a daily basis with therapeutic art and those type things. The funding, again, this time they had a relatively new roof, so we didn't have to worry about putting the funding into the roof, but we were able to do the solar panels. Again, just a little less than $35,000, again, of our public facility funding, saving those public service dollars for other agencies. I'll get to the cost savings a little further down in the presentation. We funded 2 of these day training centers. The City of Clearwater, with their CDBG public facility funding, funded the project that you see here on the screen of a much larger solar panel because they had some land. You do have the opportunities with these projects. If you have the availability of land, you can put the solar panels on the ground. So my colleagues that are out there that have more land, you can get more solar panels on the ground, and it's interesting to see the cost savings on this project compared to the day training centers because of the size of the solar panels they were done. Also, as part of this project, as I said, they did 5 at one time. They did raise private donations for 2 of the group homes. So it was a total project of just under $265,000 of federal funds plus private donations that were able to complete these 5 solar projects for the Arc of Tampa Bay. In our literature and everything, when we get our applications in, as well as if you talk to the solar panel people, they talk about a 25 to 30% cost savings when you do a project like this. So as you see here across the board, the first 2, the Harborside and the Tarpon ADT, are the 2 projects that we put funding into. You see here an annual cost savings of 46% for the Harborside, as well as 33% for the Tarpon facility. So that brings a cost savings of, $2,000 to $2,500 of funding that they don't have to go out and raise. They don't have to come to us to ask for funding for operations, so that they can plow that back into art supplies and program materials for these training in these day centers, and over in our group homes. They're able to take those funds and put them back into providing services and facilities for their residents and for their clients. And as I said, as I mentioned, here with the ranch, they were showing a 78% reduction in their utility costs because of the size of the solar panels that they were able to do. So with that investment of $263,000 of federal and private funds, we're looking at a cost savings of just a little over $15,000 a year that they now have available for their clients and their services that they can use to better those things for their clients. Another set of energy efficiency funding and programming that we've done is Directions for the Living is one of our nonprofit that deals with mental health issues throughout the county. This is their downtown headquarters in Clearwater. We provided $106,000 worth of CDBG funding for the installation of energy efficiency lighting and window tinting. So that this was a 2-phase project for them, in that they have initiated this project. It is ongoing now, as I said, to put the lighting, to put the window tinting in, again, to reduce those utility costs and energy costs of running the facility. It's a 3-story facility. It's a large facility that they utilize. Their plan is that once this is done, this piece of the energy efficiency component is done, then they will move to replacing the roof and then putting solar panels on it. They're looking again for that annual cost savings of at least 30%. That's what they're anticipating. That's where they're working to with this window tinting, the lighting. Then you add on top of it with the solar panels to generate electricity. I think that's going to be a very exciting project to see the end. And one of the things in their application was the reduction of their carbon footprint and the totals that they will be able to come to or anticipate over a period of time, that not only are they saving money, but they're making our environment more positive and cleaner environment by using these energy efficiency tools that they're putting in. So it's a cost savings for them, but it's also a benefit to the county overall because of their energy efficiency upgrades. As we talk here, we currently have 6 of these projects that are either underway and or, as I said, funded. The top 2 projects there, the park projects, actually have taken the solar panels another step further, where they have also included their solar water heaters. So we've got the panels there for the electricity. Why not go ahead and add in the solar water heaters? Again, another efficiency that they do. Those two are residential group homes. The other facilities, the Starting Right Now facility is a group home for homeless youth. Again, Directions is putting on another one in another one of their facilities. So as we look at this, by using our public facility funds that we have a few more dollars available with those projects, we're able to augment our public service funds and give back money to the agencies through their energy savings that then we can now leverage and maybe get another project out of our public service project for somebody that's not doing this. Again, I'm looking forward to kind of keeping track of the energy savings and everything that these projects are going to do. There hasn't really been any drawbacks. The only drawback that we've had with doing these projects is that our electrical company has to get them swapped over and do things to make the solar panels work. That has been our only delay, and as I said, hiccup of getting these done quickly and efficiently and moving forward. But otherwise, the agency have come back and reported their cost savings and how excited they were to have those up and running. I think with that, I know I talked fairly quickly there and threw a lot of stuff at you, but we've got a few minutes. I will pause here and say, what questions do you have?
So thank you so much, Joe. And I've got a few, and we've had a few that came into the chat. I would say, why don't we, for the sake of making this a little more conversational, do you mind if we pull the presentation down and just go to video?
Okay.
And if anyone wants to turn theirs on, certainly you're welcome to. So Joe, we've got a couple questions in the chat. So the first one, and I feel like this is a very philosophical question, and I really appreciate it. And I was kind of wondering the same thing. So is it fair to say that investing in solar is like creating an endowment with CDBG, in that the solar provides annual energy savings? And so Nicholas was asking that question. And Nicholas, if there's anything you'd like to add, please do.
No, I think I would just say, I think Joe already answered it, and I think you answered it in, if someone could say HUD poetic languages by what you said about stretching your public service budget by using the public facilities funding. So my older brother owns a solar business. So he's a mechanical engineer, and I'm the brother of a mechanical engineer, which makes me half a dork. But so I'm really, it's really awesome to see everything, even the passive solar and all the ways you're kind of driving costs down. My other question, I'm just wondering, did you provide gap financing and the entities paid other parts, or did you do the entirety of the install cost with CDBG funds?
No, we did the entire cost of the project with the CDBG funds as a grant. So there is no repayment. There is no loan there. We do not have a match with our CDBG funds there. So it was 100% CDBG funds.
Awesome. I want to see more of this done. And I think, prices of panels keep kind of coming down, and the longevity of them, durability, all this, it's awesome.
And I think to answer the question, yes, I think this would be somewhat of an endowment. We're providing that upfront cost that the funding is going to keep giving, that we're going to be able to have the reduced cost. And so, yes, I like that term of creating an endowment for these agencies with this funding.
Christina?
Yes, hi. I had a couple of questions. The first, following up on Nick's discussion with the funding for the solar panels. Sometimes there's required, like there's like this long-term leasing of the solar panels here in our state of New Jersey, like for residential anyway, like you lease these solars and then sometimes it ends up not being exactly what you expected and the savings are not there. How does that exactly work? Like, so they own these solar panels and the electric, they go into some contract with the vending, you know, with the electrical company, the vendor, to realize those savings, but they actually own the solar panels at this point?
Yes, ma'am. To the best of my knowledge, that is it. We have, I have not heard anything of leasing on these. These are direct purchases and installation. You know, we provide the funding for the direct purchase and the installation of the panels. So there is no leasing here with the projects that we've been working.
Okay, and then the other question that I have is, I know like in the past, we have also wanted to do some public, you know, using our facility dollars for public service for nonprofits. Like sometimes it's just, you know, replacement of a roof or something, some other rehab. However, we have found that especially with some of the smaller nonprofits, they don't have the procurement know-how. They don't understand the rules of CDBG with the, you know, with procurement and use of prevailing wage and bid documents and so forth. How does how do you assist them with that? Or do you, you know, how do they get around that whole workaround with Davis-Bacon and all of that?
Fortunately, the agencies I talked about here, the agencies that you saw that we had projects underway, they have that capacity to do their bid documents. You know, we're of the deal. You use your bid and your procurement process and provide us the documentation with it. I do have a staff member who is my Davis-Bacon compliance person who works with the agencies hand in hand as well as the contractors to ensure that we do our Davis-Bacon. But she is my primary contractor person, so she does work with them on the bids if they need assistance. She is that Davis-Bacon person, so we do provide that assistance that way. And as I said, fortunately, these agencies that I've mentioned here that we've dealt with do have the capacity to do that. If not, my contract person is going to be the one that is going to provide that technical assistance if needed.
Because I'm not sure how many solar companies you have in Florida, you know, but, you know, they're very few here, more popular than others. So I'm just a little curious, like, so when they do go out to bid, how many are required, you know, how many proposals are required for them, so that, you know, is it the same person doing it, same company, and so forth. But also my other question was, did you set aside a certain amount of funding? Because I know like public facilities dollars, especially the municipalities, like they like to jump on that for their road projects and, you know, like curb projects and things like that. So they're competing with the municipalities for those funds. Did you set aside a certain amount specific to nonprofits for them to do public facilities work for these solar energy upgrades?
No, ma'am, we haven't. I wished I could tell you that we get a lot of our municipalities and our smaller communities submitting applications to us for infrastructure projects. We're not at that point yet. The majority of our projects are going to go to the nonprofits. They will all come out of the same pot of money, but right now we're not in a situation where we need to set aside a set of money for that yet. It is my hope at some point, if we ever get done with ERAP and slow down a little bit, that I am able to get out into the municipalities in our unincorporated area and talk to them about infrastructure projects. But right now, it's been 2 to 3 years since we funded an actual infrastructure project. All of our funding has been going toward nonprofit public facility projects.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go next to Chris Rogona's question. So Chris is in the city of Aurora, Illinois, and he says, can you discuss how the cost savings was calculated when factoring in the variable cost of the price of electricity from month to month?
From the information that was provided from the agency, I think you're looking at, they took the monthly bills and totaled them up and did it that way. I do not think there was an in-depth analysis done. Again, this is information that I received from my agency to show those. So there may be a little bit of leeway in those costs, but I do not think, Chris, that there was any in-depth looking at those variables or anything else. That's basically a monthly bill compared to the year before and put together like that.
Thank you. And then I think you kind of began to get into this answering Christina's last question. So Howard Schubert in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania wants to know, can you tell us how this activity qualified for CDBG funding?
We do it as low mod benefit, and with the low mod benefit of the clients that are living in the facility and or using the facility in the case of the day centers. And again, with the intellectual and developmental disability, that can be a presumed benefit as well. So we use that as our objective that we're doing that with.
Thank you. And I don't see any others in the chat, though. If anyone has one, go ahead and put it there. And then I was thinking of a couple things as well, Joe. So one thing I was wondering is, who's responsible for the upkeep of the solar panels? Where does the funding for that go? Because I assume they have some kind of a maintenance component.
At this point, it's going to be on that nonprofit agency. That first 4 or 5 years, there's probably going to be little to no maintenance, but somewhere down the road, they are going to have to come back and pick that maintenance cost of it up. But, for that first 4 or 5 years, hopefully they, will be doing some operating reserves and maintenance reserves that they will come back. But it will be their responsibility because, again, they own those solar panels once they get done.
Yeah, and I did notice also in the chat, Nicholas had some follow-up information about how some of these installs happen, because it sounds like he has some personal knowledge of that. So Nicholas, if you have anything to add on that, if you could answer that question, that certainly would be helpful.
Sure. So a couple things. Every state and probably your utility is going to have a different solar install connection base fee, things like that. And I think Mississippi has one of the worst in that they charge you a monthly $85 a month fee if you have solar. So that might be more than some people's power bills are. And it really negates the economic argument for solar. There's still a big climate one there. So you have to look at that locally and see what your regulations are. And so there's not necessarily kind of across the board. And then the other thing, when someone knocks on your door, which is happening very frequently, and suggests solar for a building, there's a couple of different ways that you evaluate that. One might be, how much area do you have for solar? And if your state has a way for you to sell more power back, you might be able to make money actually doing it. You have a lot of room. Another might be, how much can you afford? So let's say your budget is a certain amount. There's going to be a fixed cost for certain equipment that you have to have, no matter how big your array is. And then there's going to be the variable costs, which are the panels. And another might just be, how much room do you have? So this is much more of a thing with people who are doing residential. You'll have parts of your roof where the return period will actually be more because there are no trees. So you will make more money on that area than you will other places. As far as maintenance goes, in most of the Southeast, I live in Virginia, and we get enough rain to, it just cleans everything off. So there's not really much maintenance you have to do. Probably in the Southwest, you have more sun, but you also have probably more dust. And so there may be some maintenance as far as cleaning that goes. But maintenance is very limited. Great time to do solar is after you've done insulation. So my brother, I think, talked himself a lot of work because people haven't put insulation in their house, but insulation is very cheap relative to a solar install. And you can think it lowers utility costs all the time. So what you're really looking for is, what's the biggest bang for the buck, the least buck for the bang. But I will say, given the current climate in all sense of that, people are really excited about solar in it. And I think there's, that can be another benefit too, that we shouldn't undersell, is like the impact of getting closer to carbon neutral. And so there might be more reasons than just economic. But you're going to have to like go through with someone who's really knowledgeable and you feel really comfortable with, to like weigh how much can you spend, how big should you go. And, you know, once you get these fixed cost pieces in place, you can add the other pieces over time. And that might make sense if you're also considering a roof replacement or things like that. So the federal credits, I don't know in this case, if you use CDBG money to purchase them, whether the federal tax credit that's available for solar applies. But for most people, it was a 30% credit, and it's declining. I think this year it's 20 something. So that is pushing people to do more solar more quickly.
Yeah, I was thinking about in the infrastructure package, you know, there was so much about cars, like electric vehicles, and I didn't pay as much attention to if there's any incentives around solar. I don't know if anyone knows.
I haven't looked at it either.
If you have an electric car and you have a pretty sunny lot, residential solar is awesome. And if you are building a new house and you can lump the cost of your solar into your mortgage, which you're deducting your interest off of, it's even more economically advantageous. It almost as if financial planners should be selling solar panels, because they guarantee you a 7 to 10% return every single year that you buy electricity. So unless you're just really loving candlelight, I should get out of the community development business and go sell these things. But it's just a little offset. I'm really excited about it because I think the climate change benefits from them are huge, and they're just gonna, and it's market driven. Like, people are just doing this. There's not necessarily like a ton of regulation that has to happen to get us on board with it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's part of why we wanted to feature this with Joe's, because it's definitely more innovative and forward thinking. You know, it's the first time I've heard of funds being used for this. It's a little bit outside of the box. And so, Joe, my last question for you, and again, if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. And thanks again, Nicholas, for that context. So, you know, we saw these beautiful pictures of Pinellas County and Clearwater and the ocean and the palm trees, and, you know, it's all sunny and it's great. And so solar panels work in a place like that. You know, you have a naturally very sunny climate. And so I'm just wondering, and kind of can open this up to others as well. So say you live in a place where maybe solar panels are not going to be as effective. You know, are there examples of, or can we think of ways that counties or cities can utilize this same concept of sort of, as it's been discussed, like creating an endowment for a nonprofit or whatever organization has a need? If it's not solar, you know, is there, I don't know, I guess wind power doesn't power individual companies necessarily, but just kind of thinking like, how can places where the sunshine isn't as prevalent, you know, utilize this model? I don't know if you've given any thought to that, or if anyone on the call has.
Well, I think you look at the project there with the window tinting and the energy efficiency lighting in the building, going in and doing an upgrade to the windows, you know, putting in energy efficiency windows, new windows, those type things happen. Many years ago in a previous life, we had a developer come to us and say, hey, I'm going to build 13 homes here, and we're going to put in some windmills, and we're going to provide funding power through those windmills. Now that project didn't get off in our community at that point, but I think you say that, but I think there are those opportunities out there as we get further advanced in our climate change and energy ideas that are coming up, that if you built a subdivision, there may be that opportunity to put a couple of windmills in and around the development to provide a portion, if not all, of the energy there. But I think without the sun, then you go to those, you know, those maintenance things, replacing the windows, the energy efficiency lighting, window tinting, and those type things. Again, maybe that opportunity. It may not be 30 to 40%. It may only be 5 to 10, but every dollar that we save, in electricity, then that we can have in operational funding moving forward. So I think there are other thoughts and ideas. And again, as we move forward and technology gets better, there's going to be other things that we can look at to do that with.
Yep, exactly. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for presenting to us this special Community Development Week webinar. It's been a great learning opportunity. And as we mentioned, this has all been recorded, so we'll put it up on our YouTube channel, share it out to the membership. If you're not a member, send us a note, and probably be reaching out to some of you as well. And as always, we're always interested to hear what our members are up to, and not necessarily because we're always going to ask you to present on a webinar, but just so we can, help you share your story, especially during a time like CD Week. So please keep the information coming to us so NASED can be your advocate here in DC. So thank you again, Joe. Wishing everyone a very happy Community Development Week, and we will see you at our next event. So take care.
Thank y'all.